Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. I hope my audio is okay. I had a few audio issues before we started, so hopefully you can hear me right. But this is the second episode of eMmerced, and this is a series of webinars that Kooomo are doing. And each month what they do is they'll get on a panel of experts to talk about some topics in e-commerce, so we can share experiences of what's going on digitally. Today's topic is internationalisation and retailers breaking into new markets. So what we'll do first of all is just introduce the panel of speakers I have here. I'll start off with me. So my name is Andy Mulcahy. I'm Strategy and Insight Director at IMIG. IMIG is the trade body for online sales in the UK. So we have a panel of 200 retailers who give us their sales figures every week, and we have an insight program that we do around that. And I've got three guests with me today. So Gary, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi everybody, my name is Gary Hammond. I'm the head of product here at Kooomo.
Excellent. And David.
Hello, sorry Andy, I hear you not so clear, so I might have to ask you twice for a question. So be patient. Sorry, guys. Nice to see you all. Thank you for inviting me today here. And I'm the CEO of ZeroGreyand in Spain, in Barcelona.
Great, thanks. And Jordi?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and all the panelist colleagues. I'm Jordi Badia. I'm the CIO and the CDO of Digital Global Ecommerce. It's the company who owns the brand VENCA and Magic Outlet that we will talk about during this session. And a pleasure to share with you our thoughts about globalization.
Excellent, thank you everybody. What we'll do first is I'm just going to show you two slides of data first of all. And this is from an index that we run with Globally. So it's based on Globally's data. And this is looking at the growth in cross-border sales from UK websites. So the red orange line that you can see there is 2019 growth across the full year, and then the line above that is 2020. So the first thing that you might notice is that the growth rates are pretty high. They're sort of 90% plus for most of the time. Which tells you that it's quite an immature sort of market, really. There's still a lot of growth to be had there. The second thing to note is that the top line, so the 2020 line, is higher than the orange one for most of the time. So the growth rate actually went up. And then when we get into the dip at the end there, that is November. So Black Friday in the UK is just this huge, huge deal. And as you can see, it looks like it's something that customers in different countries are starting to take advantage of. There's a much bigger leap in November this year. And the second slide I'm going to show you here is the same thing, but it's going to show you EU and non-EU. So of all the revenue that was made, how much of that came from EU markets and how much of it came from non-EU markets. Now this is 2020, that time frame. So the orange line this time is non-EU, and the dark line is EU. Now the baseline, if you look there, where it says 0, for the first few months of the year, we actually dropped for EU. Now it's very tempting to look at this by the two big things that were happening in. Well, for the world, but for the UK specifically. So the pandemic was the first thing, and there were some countries in Europe, such as Italy and Spain, that got hit quite badly quite early on in the year. So that may be accounting for why there's a bit of a dip there. And so non-EU actually does better for most of the year. But then when we got into towards the end of the year, so October, November, December, there was a much bigger uptick into EU markets. So is that a Brexit thing? Possibly. It could be that people knew that there were changes coming, so they decided that it would be a good time to do their purchasing before the Brexit deal became real. Possibly. the sad thing is I'm due to get the Q1 data for 2021 in a few days' time, so it's just slightly too late for this webinar. But from what we hear in the news, it does seem that trade into the EU has really dropped. So that's there's a bit of data to set up the conversation. But Gary, if I can bring you in first. So as I said, there's still a lot of potential, I think, in cross-border. So how do retailers go about breaking into new territories, given all the complexity of managing multiple language, currency, customs, things like that?
Yeah, well, look, I think the thing to realize with international commerce is it's usually an entire replication of your commerce configuration for different countries in terms of supporting different tax rates, different credit card payments. You may ship from different warehousing. So these are really key kind of blockers to unlock other territories. And I guess there's different approaches to implement this, which may involve multiple licenses, multiple storefronts, or a unified approaches, which Kooomo takes.
So do you need to take each market on its own merits?
Absolutely. So I think Danny's going to kind of give more of the matter-of-fact legal ins and outs of what operating in different countries from the merchant record perspective. But from the e-commerce perspective, it's just something to consider that if you're currently operating in one territory, and you want to get into two territories, you may have to bring a new license up. You may need to have a new storefront. Does that all then connect with your warehouse? Are the invoices all synchronized? So there's a lot to figure out. And even with Brexit now, some of our UK merchants, they don't ship to Northern Ireland anymore, even though it's part of the UK. So that's just another whole layer of complexity, which may involve a whole different configuration of the e-commerce, or even potentially blocking sales in certain territories.
Yeah, it's got very complicated. Daniel, if I can bring you in as our technical person, then that Gary just said, what is the relationship between the three companies here?
Well, the relationship is very simple. I mean, we've been working with Kooomo as the leading technology for e-commerce, for international e-commerce for many years now, and with VENCA and with Jordi, the company here in Spain has been working for also many years. About 2 years ago, we decided to migrate to Kooomo because it was bringing us a possibility for a bigger growth and new possibilities in terms of the technology that was bringing to us. So there was a challenge that was supported by Jordi and his team, and it's been a great ride. Always complicated because migrations are never easy, but the results are very fruitful and very interesting. And we've been working with them also in helping them grow the cross-border part of the e-commerce. VENCA is a very let's say is one of those companies that's been in the market for many years, that has been able to adapt and to be flexible and to transform their business into become right now one of the leaders here in the Spanish market with a huge potential. And we're working closely with them into helping them bring in all our Go Global services to bring this international side of the business for their magic outlet business. So very happy to work with them.
Excellent. So Jordi, for those who might not be very familiar with VENCA, what is VENCA?
Yeah, a little or small words and quick words from VENCA. We are a company that was founded in 1984, okay, and in a garage, okay, by an entrepreneur. And during the years, we developed the business based on paper catalog distance selling, okay, the classical business on distance selling. That it's nevertheless nowadays what we are doing with the e-commerce, okay, with a different channel, but the principle it's still being the same. But VENCA is focused on women, men, kids, home textile, accessories, and gifts for middle-aged target people and a medium average acquisition level. During the last years, we have, as Daniel has explained, we have been pushing very hard on transforming the company. Just to give you some figures, in 2013, the 70% of the turnover is still coming from the offline activities, and the 30% was online. And online for us, it's the e-commerce channel in general, other marketplaces or whatever. In 2020, this figure has completely changed, and it's the opposite. The 80% of the revenue, it comes from the online, and we're still having a 20% that it comes from the offline. Then, moreover, in our strategy, we have put the focus on increase our base of customers, okay, and doing in both sides. In one side, offering to them wide family products and amount of products, and during the last 2 years, we have become a marketplace as well, so far of our own collection, and increasing in more of 150,000 new SKUs during the last 2 years. And in the other side, being more international as well, okay, because we develop our activities here in Spain and in Portugal, and we are looking for go abroad in other countries with our second brand, as Daniel have mentioned, that it's Magic Outlet, that it's our liquidation channel in Spain that we want to move at international basis. And this is more or less and quickly VENCA, and as we are doing.
And you said that the split was, I think it's 70-30 before 2020, and then it changed quite a lot. So you're now very online because of what happened in 2020. Is your expectation that of that might return to the stores when, if the pandemic is kind of cleared up, or do you think online is really elevated?
I haven't heard properly, Andy, the last part of the sentence. If you can repeat, please.
So because the stores were, because of the pandemic, right, the problems going to stores, so the online part grew a lot. Is your expectation that online will stay up at 80%, or do you think it comes back down again? All
right. Okay, the point is that any next step that we are doing, we are just thinking on online business, okay? Paper catalog distance selling, it's something that remains in the company, okay? We have a very close customers that are still having and wants this paper catalog, but any movement of the company at the international basis or at the local, or increasing the amount of products that we are offering to them, it's thought about or around e-commerce, okay, everything online. Then the expectation is from the next years, okay, still increasing on the online business, and the part that remains on the paper catalog or our classic model, as the offline business probably is going to slowly be disappearing, okay? Yeah. However, that you don't have, you should not extinguish this model, okay? Because you can still contacting and pushing your customers with paper to obtain online sales, okay? And this is the strategy that we are following up. Take advantage of the lessons learned on the paper to push and to help as a traffic channel for the online business as well.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to switch back to Brexit just for a moment, and then maybe we'll try to leave it. You've been working with companies who are looking to go international. So how has that been going for retailers since January?
Well, I think there's two strands to this. One, if the organization has already got the ability to open its legal entities in all different territories, that somewhat simplifies the process for them. If they got their distribution, if their payment methods or logistics is going to be the same, So I guess what we've seen is a lot of experimentation around the D2C channel in particular, which all have an international focus on them. So there's a lot of brands that we're seeing are looking to essentially either liquidate stock or try and sell direct to consumer for the first time. And they often want to, what we've seen with those D2C kind of big enough brands, they often want to offload the entire process. So open my VAT positions for me, reconcile all my invoices, manage my returns. I don't want to get sued. So I guess it's a big step, and it's really only the kind of the big at scale merchants who would kind of already have these legal entities in place and be ready to go. So I think that's kind of the big consideration is, and leaving Brexit aside, even in the United States, dealing with VAT positions, your sales taxes over there, sales taxes aren't even state-wide. You could be down the road from somebody in a different zip code and have a different tax rate to them. So there's a huge risk in that that you just need to be extremely careful with before you sell internationally.
Yeah, and Daniel, for retailers looking to expand globally, what should their focus be?
Well, I mean, there are many points to be focused when you want to go globally. I mean, it's expected that in 2021, 21% of online business will be cross-border e-commerce. So it's a huge challenge for all companies ahead of us. The most important thing is that we have to understand the complexity of selling. The complexity comes by different languages, comes by different currencies. As Gary said, VAT rates that change from country to country, especially in Europe. If we go to the United States, like Gary said, you have zip codes. In the same zip code, you might have state taxes and local taxes. You have also in Australia, and every single country in the world is trying to regulate to receive taxes and to receive revenues out of all these sales. So having this view on connected to marketplaces, to be connected to every single point of sale that you may encounter, give consumers all the buy-in possibilities, click and collect, click and reserve, any omni-channel situation. Put yourself on your customers' footsteps and try to follow them, because at the end they want to buy a product, a service, and they want to buy it in the best place at the right time, whatever it is. So you might find to trying your right partner and your right technology for that, and be able to do something. I think, for instance, VENCA has done well, which is adapt to the market and be flexible and be quick to go to the market, to go as live as possible, as soon as possible live. Today, we have changed completely the concept. Before, we used to run a business plan for 3 to 5 years with an impact. Today, you have to think of a proof of concept. You have to think of an MVP, go to the market and start testing and learning. The sooner, the better. Just bring all this iteration that you have with your customers through their shopping experience and make it better and better every time, and try to convert better, and try to find where your customers are, try to convert them better and give them the best possible experience. So that's where we have to go.
Yeah, and Jordi, Daniel mentioned how VENCA did it there. So did you follow the same kind of approach there when you decided to go from local to international? Was it a test and learn approach that you took?
Yeah, okay. I don't know if we have followed the same path or not. We have followed our own path, okay? That's and we have learned a lot. Let me say, I think there is 2 important topics around this, and be international, it's for me like be online, okay? Sometimes retail shoppers, the classical ones, think that be online, it's just set up a web shop, okay? And hang it in the internet, and the people and the parachutes are going on, and everything is smoothly, and everything is happy, isn't it? Okay, it's quite complex, and internationalization happens more or less the same. I have a word that several years ago in another company we invented with some colleagues when we did international another company. It was a classified for training, okay, for online training, and even I was in Japan and in Germany and in the States doing so, and we understand that something that I carry on with me with with now in VENCA, and in other projects that I've been involved, and this word is tropicalization. Okay, what does it mean, tropicalization? It's not just to set up a web shop, okay? It's to take into account where you are directing your efforts, okay? In terms of translating, but it's not just translating. It's having the words that are appropriate for each target that you are focusing. It's to make the SEO relevant for the country that you want to touch. It's to have the proper payment methods according to the country that you are staying, because okay, you can go with multibanco, no? That it's a form of payment that it's just in Portugal. You can go with it in Germany, and it doesn't it's not useful for you. Okay, in Germany you must set up another one because it's in a special in a special request. It also happens, as Daniel said or Gary, no? All the garbage with the VATs, with the taxes, with the regulations, because even more, Europe has 27 different regulations, okay? Because yes, we are under the umbrella of European Union, but at the end, there is a particular regulation inside each country and should be known to be relevant there. And of course, the terms of delivery options, the inverse returns, the everything should take into account. Then you should go quick, okay, but you should go clever as well, because probably it's not enough to set up this web shop and translate it to many languages and just hang it into internet and hope that the people comes. You should prepare something that it's customized enough to be relevant for them, okay, and that your product it's appreciated on the destination country. And this is something that, at least in our case, we have performed a lot of learning by doing, okay? And this is something that you can skip if you rely with a solution of cross-border, because part of these issues and these challenges you are having out of the box from the beginning.
So I have a new word, tropicalization. There you go.
Yeah. That's not registered, the trademark.
Gary, so we're talking about going international here. And then it's a pandemic, so because it's made online seem a little more important, has it made international kind of more important as well? As another way to get stuff out?
Well, definitely. And I guess you're in England, I'm in Ireland here, so we know full well the impact Brexit has had. I mean, I won't bother with Amazon at the moment because I have to pay tariffs on, and it's just not worth it anymore. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier on, yes, and we're particularly seeing kind of what the guy, just to mirror what the guys are saying, agility, kind of the old model of 100K discovery sessions, wireframing, UX, 9-month projects. We're not hearing that anymore, especially from the brands who just want to just get us up quickly and can you do X, Y, and Z. So we're kind of seeing more of a I guess, an enforced maturity upon the market and an enforced importance of digital commerce. Because look, I'm 40 and I started using the internet when 15. I was the only one my age using the internet at 15. People me and older, you know, we're not tuned in maybe as we should be. Some of us. But I guess once the doors closed on retail, it was panic, panic, panic. Get online. How can we exploit this? Oh, of course, that sounds a good idea. Let's try it. Let's try it. So obviously now, I guess people are kind of accepting the reality of it rather than anything else. But even just the simple terms of issuing a refund and the legality around issuing a refund if you sold something in another country. I mean, EU's particularly good at regulations. So, you know, it's, yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it. So as Jordi was saying, get online quickly but smartly.
Yeah, and you know, I think some of what you say there, we did have, because we were forced by the pandemic to do things really quickly, whereas before we might have taken a lot longer. to make some of those decisions. You wouldn't want to lose that. It's quite good to have that agile thinking, to be able to do things quickly. And big companies have to do that. It's something that would be a shame if we lost the ability to do that after this. Danny, taking a customer from local to international, then, Gary was talking about you've got to do it kind of quickly these days. What's the biggest hurdle to getting up and running?
Well, I mean, the biggest hurdle is that I think Jordi said it quite well, actually. I mean, you have to I think you have to right now you have two accelerators. One accelerator we all know is the COVID-19, which has tremendously accelerated, the going international. But the biggest issue is how to understand your international customers, your audience. Who are you selling to? Where are they? How do they buy? I mean, what payment methods they use? As Jordi said, if you may be using Klarna in Germany, but now if you want to use Klarna in Spain, it's starting. So, people don't know what Klarna is. So, they might be reluctant to use Klarna to pay, but they use PayPal in Spain, or they use credit card, which is one of the biggest payment method. I mean, I think understanding your strategy and having the right technology that accompanies you in this decision is very important. If you want to go international and you go with an entry-level platform like Shopify, you might find yourself that if you want to sell in 8 countries, you might have to have 8 Shopify stores to manage, with all the complexity that means, with all the constraints that brings you this type of entry-level solution. So it's very important you find a solution that allows you to make things simple, to make things easier, a solution that allows you to understand the complexity of the VAT, the complexity of the multi-currency, multi-language that we live, for instance, in Europe, because the European world, let's say, it's the most complex one probably in today's e-commerce world. So if you are able to address all these issues with the right technology, then you're way to go. I think, for instance, Kooomo is a solution that is European born and European compliant, so understands all this complexity, laws, VAT taxes, currencies, etc., etc. So I think this is a key point to take into account into your new international strategy.
Thing that can happen, Jordi, is some people will return things. So when you have a local return, that's one thing. When you have an international return, there's a lot more complexity. So how do you optimize that?
Could you say it again? Sorry, I didn't hear you well. The question.
Oh, sorry, Jordi. Sorry. With returns. You optimize for returns when going international?
Yes. Well, this is obviously an important issue. I mean, with over, let's say, an average of 40% of returns that you may encounter internationally, that brings a big complexity in those returns. That means, for one side, the cash returns, for another side, the reconciliation of your return to your customer, but a payment method might keep their fee. So this is a complexity that you need a right partner to help you address the issue in a numbers and a compliance way. So it's very transparent and clear. So it is an issue. It's something to take into account very seriously.
Yeah, Andy, if follow to me, I want to add some words on this question. I think returns, it happens the same as I've said before, okay? There is a question of depending on the country. For instance, Spain could have in the fashion market around the 10-12% of returns, okay? Germany has around 60 or 70% of the returns, because the maturity of this market, okay, the people knows that they bought and they have the showroom at home, okay, and they return what they are not going to use, and they pay just for what they keep, okay. Then if you're not conscious on it, it's not possible to go on these markets. Then you should have a logistics and an inverse logistics, okay, to manage and handle the returns accordingly the expectations of your customers. If not, you are loose. Okay, it's quite impossible that you are relevant for them on those markets. I've put, I think, the two most extreme examples that is in Europe, no? That it's Germany, it's the maturity, a very high maturity, and Spain, it's we are comfortable on it. That's true that with the COVID crisis has changed, okay, and returns has changed as well. But at the end, this is something that you should take into account when you want to move for whatever country, no, to study how the customers are behaving on them.
Yeah, okay. And Gary, once someone is kind of up and running internationally, that's a big step. But it's not the end, right? So what is the sort of goal that you're striving towards?
Well, it's optimization, or if you're not breaking into new markets or new functionality or something, it's really just optimization. So I guess within Kooomo, you manage international commerce through single storefront. That's kind of our model. But as Jordi was saying, was it tropicalization, the new word for it all? Was that you know, you have to make sure that you're actually monitoring each of these territories. You have to probably have content people for each language and actually benchmark it and do things. So it's one thing to have the platform, great, or however you get a system together. But ultimately, it needs optimization always.
Yeah, and then Daniel, if someone is looking at globalization, going international, is there a sort of checklist that you might be able to give them?
Yes, I mean, I think in our opinion, I mean, there are three points that are very important to take into account. Is that there is a fiscality, there is a legal issue. You need the right partner. You know, you take a huge risk when you go, you know, not only European wise but internationally wise, where you have legal compliance you have to follow in each country. You have fiscal. You need to know what the VATs, what the VAT payments are, compensations, etc. So you need to find a right partner that brings all this complexity into a simple way of doing it. Leave it to professionals that know how to do it, and you will have time and efforts and risks, which are very important. As I said before, choosing the right platform. Not all the platforms are ready for this complexity that we are going through. So it is very important that you have a platform that accompanies you, that brings you all the different issues into a very simple way of reducing the risk, reducing fraud, reducing fiscal errors, and all the let's say all the legal. And at the end, as I said before, is the strategy. I mean, to find the right strategy for each country. It's not the same selling in the UK that is to sell in Spain, or is to sell in Japan or in the US. You might have, if your platform helps you, you might have that you have the same merchant, but you have different front end experiences, whether you are in the US, in the UK, or you're in Italy. And with different products, different purchasing experiences, different purchasing methods, and different pricing as well. So these three parts are very important into your internationalization of the company.
Jordi, just as a sort of final point, what if someone is thinking about going international, but they're maybe a little hesitant, what sort of words of comfort would you give to them?
Well, I think it's a little bit what we have been saying. No, I think to prepare a proper strategy, it's not just a question of a wish, no, to become international. I think it's to identify in which countries you have a good opportunity, because depending your segment, the chances are not the same, okay, and the maturity of the markets, it's not the same. Be aware that where you should put your efforts on having traffic, okay, and prepare a very good campaign and budget for the marketing acquisition in general, okay, and then, as Daniel have said, no, or Gary, join and make a partnership with a company that gives you as much as out of the box is possible, in order to rely and to go quick, okay, learning and having the plan, do, check, act, you know, vicious circle on learning to progress on your business. I think, at least for our point of view, okay, it's not just a magical formula. It's something that you should learn on the day-to-day, but it's very important to collect the proper team, okay, with the proper knowledge, that it's not just on hiring people, it's also on relying on good partnerships.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And just, I've got a couple of questions, so, you know, jump in on this, but what's the best way to decide which country you should break into? Any advice on that? I mean, so Jordi, for example, how did you choose which markets you would focus on?
I think Jordi said it well before. I think it's important to understand what your opportunities are. I mean, and start step by step, analyzing what your potential growth is based on your sector and your industry, what the possibilities are, and focusing on each country every time. I mean, once at a time. But it depends. It depends on it depends on what your capacity is. But I think you know, playing smart and doing you know, like Jordi say, learn by doing. It is important, but focusing one at a time.
Here I can add some words as well, okay? And one of the things that has been useful for us, it has been, before to disembark directly with our own e-commerce, okay? We have tried being in the different marketplaces, you know? We have developed a strategy to be present in Amazon, for instance, in France or in Germany or in UK or, okay, many countries, collect, learn, and understand what are our chances there without making a big investment, okay, developing and deploying a full e-commerce solution, as well with other players on the e-commerce that are relevant, and they are collecting a lot of traffic from these target traffics that we are pointing out, okay. And after this, analyzing and considering it's a variable to decide which is the more appropriate country to be focused, no, for the next steps. This is something that we did, and it has been useful from time to time.
Okay, and just another question that came in. Because of the big focus on e-commerce in the last over the last year, which was obviously because of the pandemic, do you think that there's been an uptake in companies expanding into international, or are they focusing more on their local market? And obviously, it's just an opinion.
Yeah, well, I just think it goes back, like, there's obviously, we had the Brexit impact as well, which would still take quite months or years to unfold. But yeah, as I mentioned, really strong interest in D2C channels, experimentation, breaking new markets. Let's try something for a fraction of a big corporate build with all our branding and all the loyalty we want. Let's start small, try and ship and sell some product and see how we get on. So we're certainly seeing an increase in that. But the challenge people have then is, essentially, you can't just all sell from one country, because, you know, it'll just get expensive and complicated, and people do need to have distribution. Also, just about legislation, in I think it's Finland, you're not allowed to offer a credit card payment as the default payment option, because they got a problem with credit card debt there. So the ability within the platform to say, okay, for this country, I want to have this as my default, and that's at the bottom. that's kind of the mindset you need to have. It's the entire configuration of your commerce and content of your site essentially needs to be internationalized.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for taking part in our panel. I hope you found some useful information to take away with you, and hope you can join us for the next webinar in series. Thanks a lot.